how did you originally get into the business in the first place?
A guy just called me and said, "There's a guy in Dallas." I lived in Fort Worth at the time. I was going to TCU. He said, "There's a guy in Dallas doing jingles for radio." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, we won't go into that, but he needs a vocal group." His vocal group just walked out on him, went with another company. Well, that was CRC, and he was talking about Bill Meeks. So I said, "I'm not a group singer." He said, "Well, you're gonna be if you want to make the money." And I said, "Oh yeah, here I come." So that's how I got into it. Just by accident, we thought we'd get a couple of nights.
And what year was that?
1957 in March.
And where was PAMS operating from at that time?
Their offices were down on Indiana Street, I believe, but we did our recording at Cellar Studio, which was next door to KLIF. Or above. Anyways, in the same building. Funny little shaped building. I understand it's still there. It's kind of a triangle thing. We were upstairs. The guy mentioned the vinyl. He had a rope pulley thing because he didn't trust the motors. He didn't think they were good enough, weren't smooth enough. So he devised this big pulley system, went from second floor down up to the basement and back to run his turntables. At a consistent speed, consistent enough to suit him. So, yeah, it wasn't too much longer after that when Bill finally put up his first place in lease space, pretty good sized studio, and also about that same time, about 60 and 59, 60 in there, I think, we began to get tape. Selective synchronization, a legitimate overdub was still a few years away, but we managed, to go machine to machine and stuff like that.
In those early days when you first started, what were the sessions like? How long were they? Did you wear headphones?
Oh no headphones. Headphones for us didn't come along. Wouldn't try to pinpoint the year, but it was a long time. We used speakers on the wall. Sometimes big speakers at that. And then Bill decided he got some smaller ones and mounted them up on, there was a place in the studio. So we could stand where they weren't right into the microphones, and still get our cue that way. But the headphones didn't come around for quite a while.
And how did things develop? Obviously, you were there for quite some time. How did you become then the main group that did all the work there? Yeah,
for Bill, when I finally graduated in '60, then he offered me a job to come full time with him, and I took it. It was better pay than some. But when we started out, to answer your question before, we drove over and we did 3 or 4 hours sessions. They were all at night because all of us had other things to do during the daytime, and he paid us, I think, $25 for a 4-hour session. But at 57, that wasn't bad money.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So.
And so you in at the time you were still at college then.
Yeah. I'd been on the road. I'd done some other things, and so I was older than normal college age kid. I had married and already had a child, and I had another one before I got out of school. But anyway, got that done, and came to work for Bill. My little marketing degree in hand, thinking I'm going to get out of the music business. That's why I did all that with the school. I'm never, I'll do this for a while until I find something that I really want to do. And 40 years later,
you're still here. Life does that to you, doesn't it? Now and again. What sort of packages were they recording there at that time? I know you did all the Series 18, the Sonovox and things. Were you there prior to that?
Oh yeah. John and I were talking about this the other day. John Wolford. Not sure the number of the series because the numbers kind of messed up over the years. But I know that for sure Series 10, I had been there for a long time when he did Series 10. That was in the building over on Cole Avenue. And then Series 15 was really, to me, our first really class, Living Radio, the really classy package. And of course 18, as you mentioned, I did the Sonovoxing for that one, as well as the singing, as well as trumpet playing and trombone playing. and we swept out after it.
Bit of everything. So, how did that whole Sonovox, were you the only person who did it, and how did it kind of, did somebody walk in the door with the units? Or
No, Bill came up with the idea, and he'd found it in Los Angeles and got to know the inventor. And of course it was for people who had throat problems, a little generator that they could use in place of their vocal cords, basically. And so he said, yeah, I think, we could use this in the jingle business. Great idea, the man that Bill was and is. But then he got the idea of piping various musical sounds through it with the logos, And so the wife of the inventor came to Dallas, and different people tried it out. Well, it seemed just I sort of got the best sound for whatever reason. So I got nominated and elected. and she did the KFWB package, was the first one that was done on Series 18 for Los Angeles. And I did the rest of them for several years.
I mean, I know they must all be a terrible blur, but do you remember doing the Radio London ones? Was that kind of an unusual session to do those? Or
I wish I could say that I remembered it very well, but I don't. I remember we all were kind of impressed with the fact that we were getting, when we started getting bigger in the United States, that was great. But then when we got overseas markets, we thought, wow, that's really pretty neat.
and so all the way through sort of 18, you were still at PAMS and all the way through all the other packages.
Oh, I don't remember my last one. Maybe 35, 6 in that area. It was in 71. And a lot of good jingles.
Yeah. Who were the people that you were singing with at that time?
Well, the groups, they came in with. There was a group in a picture I pulled out a while ago. It was Claire Stewart and Bob Bigler, Ora McBride, and myself. And then, there was Claire. And then Gene Oliver came in as the lead singer, and Charlie Thompson. Later, Jim Clancy, Frank Blaybaum. You go on. I could make a long list if it just all pop in my head. There's a lot of people.
And
Marv Shaw. Don't forget Marv.
Oh, Marv, yes, the Series 31 guy. Did you, at that time, did the sort of record the ways that you did it and the recording techniques, did they change over that period?
Oh, tremendously. Like I say, we started out going directly to vinyl. Then our first real use of selective synchronization, the cell sync, came about. They found out how to use it, and Dick McGrew built a 3-track machine. 3 tracks. I don't know how they arrived at that, but that's what the first one was. And then, of course, he built larger ones on up to 10-track. And then they became commercially available, various configurations of this, that, and the other. And we had those huge echo chambers. I understand they still use them, the big Telefunkens and all that were just big boxes, long boxes and all. So when we got one of those, we thought we'd died and gone to heaven for sure. That they were so fantastic compared with anything else we'd had. The screen doors, as they used to call, or the screen door springs, what they used to use. And so, the technology has just changed so tremendously from the vinyl to digital and everything in between.